Hello and welcome to the RM6313 Demand Management and Renewables Buyer webinar. My name is Nikki. I'm presenting today with my colleague Jan. We are very pleased that you could join us so that we can tell you all about our exciting new agreement. We are part of the estate's decarbonisation team responsible for managing the agreement, and our commercial team are here to support buyers and suppliers to utilise it. The DMR agreement is a dynamic purchasing system, often referred to as a DPS. The agreement has been live for public sector buyers to use since the 28th of November 2022. The scope of products and services available via the agreement is wide-ranging, and it is also flexible to support changes in a developing market. The DMR agreement replaces the RM6313 Helga agreement. Please note that this webinar is pre-recorded. You should make a note of any questions, and we will share how to ask the questions at the end of the presentation. Here is the agenda for our presentation. Today we'll be looking at an overview of Crown Commercial Service, the background to the development of the DMR agreement and how it supports the carbon net zero strategy, the difference between a framework and a DPS, as well as an overview of the buyer journey, accessing and using the DPS, and call-off options available via the agreement. Crown Commercial Service provides procurement across the entire public sector. We're here to help the UK public sector get better value for money from its procurement of goods and services. We support government departments as well as public and third sector organisations, and by working together contribute to the delivery of services for the public sector.
Thanks, Nikki. The buyers and their individual needs are at the heart of everything we do. We help 18,000 of our buyers, advising and assisting in the purchase of everything from locum doctors and laptops to police cars and electricity. As the biggest public procurement organisation in the UK, we use tried and tested solutions, commercial expertise and experience of bulk buying to power the public sector's procurement needs. In 2021 and 22, we helped our buyers save more than £2.8 billion. Our customers trust us to manage more than £27 billion worth of spend every year for central government departments and also across the wider public sector, so schools, universities, hospitals, housing associations and charities. By encouraging our buyers to use our wide range of deals and increasing spend through our agreements, we can continue to invest in our people and expertise. We've listened to our customers, and so we're aiming to make public sector procurement simpler. Customers can now access the best deals for many of the goods and services they need with the click of a mouse. Our aim is to be the go-to provider of common goods and services for the public sector. The DMR DPS is one of two agreements developed as replacements for our existing RM6313 Helga agreement. The DMR DPS will be managed by the estate's decarbonisation team alongside the DMR framework. Over 300 suppliers were appointed to the Helga agreement and over 120 contracts have been awarded so far. From base policy and delivery procurements to central government large-scale solar installations, Helga delivered a wide range of industry areas within these contracts. The new DMR agreement ensures agility and flexibility for helping to meet 2050 carbon net zero targets and any future legislation. The new agreement will provide buyers with access to a range of services from design and feasibility to installation and maintenance of wider energy assets. Buyers will also be able to procure renewable energy products from solar PV through to wind turbines. During the development of both agreements, we consulted widely with stakeholders and took account of their feedback, ensuring the scope of the products and services offered via the agreement was extended. Some additions to the existing Helga offerings include an improved energy metering service, LED lighting, plus hydrogen for heat. The agreement offers further flexibility, ensuring buyers are able to meet their requirements. Buyers can identify specific social value priorities at the point of ordering and test at call-off as detailed in a Policy Procurement Note 0620. As part of the supplier registration process, suppliers now need to submit modern slavery statements to CCS in line with Section 54, Transparency in Supply Chains, of the Modern Slavery Act 2015. The UK Government has set out its recent carbon net zero strategy, Build Back Greener, published in October 2021. This has established new measures and targets for the UK to decarbonise both commercial and domestic properties. The latest Government Net Zero Estate Playbook analysis, published in November 2021, highlights that the public sector estate contributes around 2% of the UK's overall carbon emissions. The aim set out in the Clean Growth and CNZ strategy is a 50% reduction in public sector carbon emissions by 2032, in line with the 2017 baseline. There are many key areas where central government and wider public sector organisations can support their individual carbon net zero targets, from decarbonising their heating supply to improving their energy data to effectively report on emissions. The DMR DPS aims to support public sector organisations in providing an effective route to market for wider energy products and services that will support individual targets and wider legislation, as shown in the slide. The DPS provides a procurement route for public sector organisations who are accessing government funding, such as the recent public sector decarbonisation scheme rollout. DMR will support these priorities by offering an efficient route to access a range of industry experienced and quality suppliers. The DPS is a dynamic commercial marketplace that suppliers can join via a selection process. Buyers will be able to access a wide choice of services and utilise the DPS to achieve better value for money over the lifetime of a contract. Some of you may already be familiar with the workings of a DPS. You can see from the slide the differences between the traditional framework and the DPS. So with the framework, there are a fixed number of suppliers, and that's set when the framework is awarded. The DPS is more flexible and allows new suppliers to apply to join at any point during the lifetime of the agreement, so potentially an unlimited number of suppliers. So that gives more opportunities for SMEs and local suppliers to join, which aligns with the social value requirements and also gives more choice to buyers. With the framework, the lots and offerings are determined for the supplier when the framework is first set up. The DPS allows suppliers to update their offerings at any time. With a framework, the advantage is that direct award is allowed, as per the public sector contract regulations. With the DPS, there's no direct award option. It's further competition only. And that helps buyers develop their pricing at the call for competition stage and get the most appropriate contract and supplier. The framework agreement has a more detailed specification, whereas the DPS specification is at a higher level, allowing the buyer more flexibility at call-off. Just going to hand back to my colleague Nikki.
Thanks, Jan. So, essentially you can use the DMR DPS, much like any CCS DPS, in that you will first define your requirement. You will access the DPS system online and undertake a filtering exercise based on your contract needs, applying your chosen filters. You'll then be presented with a short list of suppliers. You can then undertake a normal competition amongst those suppliers, including appropriate evaluation, award, and supplier debrief. Some buyers are required to formally publish notification of award on their contracts, depending on their status and their contract value. The agreement offers a wide range of products and services, from heat pumps wind generation, back-office solutions, and many more. The wider industry products and services available within DMR are organised into filters, with an additional sub-filter category so buyers can determine their delivery area according to their requirements. We will look at the filters in more detail a bit later. Buyers can select as many or as few products and services using the filtering system to meet their requirements. As displayed here, you'll see a range of the products and services available, from design and feasibility to a full end-to-end solution. Further details relating to the products and services available via this agreement are included in the specification and the buyer guidance. The starting point to access the DPS is the supplier registration website. Here you can view the available agreements by accessing the DPS marketplace. All DPSs that are managed by CCS, including DMR, are available within here. To access DMR, you would scroll down the page to the buildings heading and click on that. You are then taken to the buildings section, where you can see and are able to select demand management and renewables. There are 5 links at the bottom of the DMR overview. You will need to select the Access as a Buyer link to get onto the DMR portal. You are then presented with the Buyer Access Agreement page. It is important that you review and understand the requirements stipulated in these terms before accepting and confirming. Once you have confirmed, you are able to progress through to the next stage. It is important to note that the terms and conditions need to be agreed each time you access the agreement. This screen is where you're able to create, save and export files containing a list of capable suppliers who will be invited to participate in your further competition based on your requirements. Instructions on how to do this are contained in the help section, which you can find in the grey box on the right-hand side of the page. You will need to select Create a Category to begin. You should then select filters appropriate to your requirement. This slide contains screenshots of filters available within the DMR agreement. Please note that the supplier filter at the top of the page should only be used for search purposes. You mustn't use this to generate an export of a single supplier to invite to further competition. It is at this point that you are able to make the selections that are relevant to your procurement. There are 4 filters available on the system. These are Products and Services, UK Location, International Location, and Project Value. The first filter is the Products and Services filter. This filter allows you to choose the relevant products and services that meet your requirement. The filter also has a sub-filter, so you can drill down to subcategories where you can then select the appropriate delivery arrangement. Most products and services have sub-filters. The exceptions are Energy Bureau Service, Network Management, Net Zero Strategy, Power Purchase Agreement, Professional Services, and Transport. The UK Location filter provides you with the option to either select a particular region based on NUTS Level 1 codes, for example, North West, West Midlands, London, etc. The international filter provides the option to source works outside of the UK. The project value filter provides the option to filter requirements based on the scale of the project. Once you've selected the information relevant to your procurement by using these filters, you are then able to save and export a list of suppliers who can potentially meet your requirements. It's important to note that filters in the DPS work on an AND basis, not AND or. So if a supplier does not match all of your selection criteria, they will not appear on your download. When suppliers sign up to join the DPS, they are signing up to the core terms which are aligned to the public sector contract. The schedules are included in the bid pack and can be downloaded via our webpage or via the supplier registration service. The agreement has flexibility, allowing buyers to choose the most appropriate terms and conditions for their requirements. The options for this agreement include CCS standard terms and conditions, NEC3, NEC4 or JCT contracts. All of the contract terms and conditions are listed in the order form, RM6313, DPS Schedule 6, Order Form Template and Order Schedules, version 1.3, which can be found in Part 2 of the bid pack. Attachment 8 in the bid pack contains how to access the NEC3, NEC4 and JCT contracts, along with standard boilerplate amendments for each contract form to ensure public sector procurement regulations are adhered to when utilising these industry form contracts. I'm just going to hand you over to my colleague Jan again.
So just to recap on some of the key features of the new DMR DPS. Flexible call-off options. So as previously mentioned, this allows for various contract options at call-off stage that best suit the individual project. A simplified filter approach. So we've made improvements to the Helga filter structure, which we hope is more user-friendly for buyers and suppliers. Updated public sector procurement policy notes. Since Helga was launched in 2018, there have been a number of updated PPNs to which this new DMR DPS aligns. Modern slavery assessments, including an SME questionnaire. Important factor within the wider energy industries is the risk of modern slavery within certain supply chains. CCS assesses suppliers who meet the threshold with the modern slavery PPN, and we'll also be looking to introduce a modern slavery questionnaire. The robust financial assessment of suppliers in line with Cabinet Office sourcing playbook. CCS has recently introduced a new finance assessing process, the FVRA process. Our suppliers have to meet the gold standard, aligning with the sourcing playbook. All UK public sector bodies are now able to use the DPS, so that includes devolved administrations. Supports quick and efficient procurement in line with any government funding. So, for example, the public sector decarbonisation scheme. Lastly, there's just some links here that you may find useful. One for the DMR DPS agreement page on the CCS website. Then for the Dynamic Purchasing System Marketplace, where you can find the DMR DPS as well as all our other DPSs, and then to a video explaining how to use the DPS system. There's also contact information for our customer service centre, who'll be able to help with any questions that you have. So we hope that you found this webinar useful, and if you've any questions, please feel free to contact us at info@crowncommercial.gov.uk. Thank you.